USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
A $2 trillion coronavirus economic relief package is halfway home as the U.S. Senate gave it unanimous approval late yesterday, and the U.S. House is expected to give it final approval tomorrow.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies today with daytime highs approaching 88. South winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Overcast tonight, lows level off around 65. Cloudy again tomorrow, daytime highs approaching 87. Turning cooler Saturday and Sunday with highs in the upper 70s. Chance for scattered storms Saturday.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
As last week ended, President Trump was saying he was hoping the country would be reopened for business despite the coronavirus pandemic by Easter Sunday, April 12th. However, yesterday he announced he's extending social distancing guidelines as a result of the virus for several more weeks.
We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th. To slow the spread.
New York City's mayor calling it a last resort. Bill de Blasio saying he has authorized police to issue $500 tickets to people who violate social distancing rules amid the coronavirus pandemic. Pope Francis calling for a temporary worldwide ceasefire. He called for the global halt to hostilities yesterday, saying countries need to protect their people from the coronavirus pandemic. And this is USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I think I've turned a corner in not having so much fatigue. That was my initial problem, was I was just tired all the time. So I think it's helping me with that. I think it's a whole lot better as a supplement than a lot of other products. Basically, you heal from the cellular level up. That's why nutrition is so important. Having whole foods is very important for health. I really think that it's been helping me overall.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com, and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson declaring a disaster in the city of Jonesboro after a Saturday tornado touched down there. The National Weather Service says that it was an EF3 tornado. It did serious damage to downtown Jonesboro, but only a few minor injuries were reported. An EF1 touchdown in nearby Greene County. Checks from the recently passed coronavirus economic stimulus bill should be arriving in American bank accounts and mailboxes within the next 3 to 4 weeks, according to Treasury Chief Stephen Mnuchin. A family of 4 could get up to $3,400, while an individual taxpayer would receive around $1,200. On this day in history, President Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded after a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton Hotel. John Hinckley Jr. later disclosed that he was motivated by wanting to impress actress Jodie Foster. This is USA Radio News.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Isolated thunderstorms likely today, otherwise overcast skies. Highs around 70, easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for isolated thunderstorms again tonight. Lows dip down to about 55. Mainly clear skies and quiet. Daytime highs approaching 74. Tomorrow, mainly clear skies. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 62 degrees.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is Hip Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The switch is on. Welcome to Good Morning Georgetown with Rob and Ken. Waking you up in the mornings and getting your day started with the hottest hits, news, and jokes. Get ready. And now here's your hosts, Rob Hip and Ken Covington.
Hello, pleasant, good morning and start to your week, Georgetown, Texas, here on a Monday. Time now 7:20 a.m. on Good Morning Georgetown. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm Rob Hipp, your show host. Excited to bring you another edition of Good Morning Georgetown as we start a whole new week here. We've got a great program coming on this morning as we will hear from Dr. Chau of Ochna Health here in Georgetown, who is giving us a COVID-19 update. We hope to have him on the show every week now to at least give an update. Ochna Health, also a sponsor here on Hip Radio Network Georgetown, but we definitely want to hear from him this morning and just get you up to date with the latest of what's going on. We've also got some questions that we're going to ask him, just some different conflicting numbers that we receive regarding the flu, the flu as well as pneumonia, and trying to figure out those mortality rates because there's some conflicting math involved with that, and there's been a wide argument on the internet regarding pneumonia and COVID-19 and the flu and all this. And so we're going to bring those questions to Dr. Nguyen a little bit later this morning and talk to him about everything that's going on and just get some clarification on that. And, I'm definitely not a medical expert, and honestly, 99% of the people out there on Facebook aren't either. And so we're going to hear from Dr. Nguyen this morning. Hey, I hope you're doing okay. I hope everybody is staying safe. I saw a lot of folks this weekend talking about staying at home and some different things. We had a lot of fun here on Friday on Hip Radio Network Georgetown as we ended up having a virtual dance party. Had about 100 folks or so tuning into that. We're going to continue to have that here on HRN. So you want to make sure that you will join us on Friday. We're going to have that going on again from 7 to 9. I think was it 6? No, it was 7. It was from 7 to 9. So we're going to have that back on the show and excited to be able to bring that. Hey, this morning behind me, he's probably not watching yet, but a beautiful backdrop here this morning. This photo, picture perfect. That sounds kind of funny because it's a beautiful, perfect picture. But this mountain provided, I don't know where this is at. I needed to check with Dave, but Dave Cody had this on his Facebook. He took the photo, and I asked David, I said, hey, man, do you mind if I use that backdrop on my morning show? And he said, no, feel free to. And he's actually got quite a few photos, and I would love to be able to use a few of those throughout this show. Well, again, at 7:30, so coming up here in just a little bit, we should have Dr. Chau on the show this morning, and then at 8 a.m., we're going to have Doug Groves of Program Insurance Group. We've already got guests booked up this morning, so we're excited about having a really fun show all week here on Hip Radio Network Georgetown and also here, of course, on Good Morning Georgetown, as we're going to have several guests on coming up this week. I believe on Thursday, we're going to have the Georgetown Beard Club on the show, so they're going to be talking about some really awesome things that they are doing. On Wednesday, I know I'm kind of working backwards here, but on Wednesday, we're going to have Robert Hall, hopefully, on the show. He's going to see if he can be available for that on Wednesday morning with a program called Boys to Men of God and Daughters of the King. They're going to talk about what they've been doing in some of our local communities here in Georgetown and the Round Rock area, helping out kids. And so excited to have Robert on the program. We're just going to have fun this week and just try to keep things rocking and rolling here as we continue to bring you information. I know that the COVID-19 has been inundating a lot of the news, and that's what we've been keeping everybody up to date with. And you're going to continue to hear that here for the foreseeable future, as that is the big top news, of course, and we want to keep you in the know. Articles coming this morning from the New York Times, part of their morning briefing. President Trump extending distancing guidelines. This was some news yesterday, if you haven't heard it. Everyone in the United States must avoid non-essential travel or gathering in groups of more than 10 for at least another month. We've been talking about that here on Hip Radio Network, and especially on this morning show. You know, we started covering the COVID-19 pandemic before it was even a pandemic, and the experts said at the end of December, this thing is going to get out of hand, and that's exactly what has happened. Now President Trump extending the non-essential travel or gathering in groups of 10 again for at least another month, perhaps until June. The president saying that yesterday. He had earlier expressed a desire to relax the coronavirus guidelines to get the country back to work by Easter of April 12th. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. President Trump's announcement came after two of the top doctors advising him warned that as many as 200,000 people in the United States could die during the outbreak. So unfortunate news there. I know many of us wanting to get back to normal, and I don't think that we're going to see much of that, as it's going to be a lot. We've still got a pretty big uphill road that we've got to climb here, and it's going to be a while. There's been strict containment measures and other developments in the Seattle area, the home of the country's first known case of the virus. That appears to be paying off. although officials warn that gains could be temporary. Two of the country's largest health insurers, Cigna and Humana, agreed to protect their customers from out-of-pocket costs if they need treatment for COVID-19. Of course, the disease caused by the virus. Global markets open lower today. And that, of course, our markets here in the United States haven't opened up yet. Futures showing about a 300-point drop in the Dow as futures on right now. We'll open around 8:30. First 22 scheduled flights carrying medical supplies from China, they arrived in New York on Sunday. White House officials saying the flights would funnel much-needed goods across the United States. And amid calls for more transparency, United States public health experts are debating how much information on the spread of the virus should be released. You know, we've seen here, a lot of folks have asked, as we put out information here on Good Morning Georgetown and also on our website. If you don't visit that, make sure to visit us at hrngeorgetown.com. We keep that updated with the latest information that we receive from the Williamson County and City's Health District and also other press releases that we receive. We like to put those out as quickly as possible to get you that information. But we have seen some questions and some concerns from folks, and they're valid statements, but I understand why, is that whenever we get that information, it doesn't include a lot of times, what area that happened in. We're starting to see more of that now. Georgetown, 9 confirmed cases. As of the last release that we received on Saturday, there's 34 total cases in Williamson County, and that information that we received doesn't mention a whole lot more than that. And one reason, I understand where it comes from. They don't want to cause panic, and so that's one reason that we're seeing a lot of that as well. We'll continue to keep you updated here on HRN. Hundreds of thousands of migrant laborers in India, they've begun journeys on foot to get home after being left homeless and jobless by the nationwide lockdown there. Nearly a dozen students at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, have developed symptoms of COVID-19. The school's president, Jerry Falwell Jr., reopened its campus last week after calling the response to the pandemic an overreaction. And you see right there, a lot of folks have said this is an overreaction. It's something that the media is hyping up. It's causing a lot of panic and fear. And I think there's a lot of validity to what we are seeing. I mean, just here this morning, reading that, talking about Liberty University after the school reopening, and now a dozen students have the virus. And that's the problem is, and we'll talk to Dr. Nguyen here in a little bit, but the incubation period on this is the real problem for concern. If you've got questions, by the way, for Dr. Nguyen, he's only got about 30 minutes this morning, so make sure if you're on the Facebook live stream, you can go ahead and start asking those questions. Again, if you've got them for Dr. Nguyen this morning related to COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic, please make sure to ask those on the Facebook stream, on the comments. We've got a lot of folks joining us already this morning. And if you are on the Hip Radio Network app, I see several on there already this morning as well. You can always text the studio at 512-686-2030. Again, that number is 512-686-2030. With non-essential businesses shut down and people staying at home, New York is a city that's suddenly forced to be everything it is not. Metro reporter Corina Knoll writes in the New York Times. There's photographers that have been assigned by that newspaper. There's photos circulating all over the internet, as we've seen some of them in the Austin area as well. It's just almost completely empty streets. It's almost a sight. Well, it's a sight that many of us have never seen before, especially on a Friday night or a Saturday. And those are the images and the things that we continue to see because of this entire pandemic. An article here talking about why China stumbled into containing the virus. Wuhan, of course, the city where the pandemic started, began lifting a 2-month lockdown over the weekend. That's a good sign. And a number of its malls were set to reopen today. And China's narrative isn't about its success in taming the virus, obscures early failures to report cases. Again, as I mentioned, we started talking about this here on Good Morning Georgetown towards the end of December. They squandered time that it could have been used to prevent a broader outbreak. Young people in China who have long relinquished political freedoms in exchange for their jobs and upward mobility, they're now challenging the government's efforts to conceal its missteps. And there's been a lot of virus-related disinformation campaigns by China and Russia to show how other countries or show how they're trying to undermine the shared adversity with the United States. There's a lot of information coming, and that's just where you have to really be careful and do your homework and talk to the experts in the field. And that's why we're going to have Dr. Nguyen here in just a few moments. In other news across the United States, a lot of this is getting just washed and blanked over because of all of this coronavirus mess that's going on. But a tornado in Jonesboro, Arkansas over the weekend. Thankfully, no one killed there. But, man, I'm telling you, when we're dealing in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic and then a tornado hits your town, not good. And things in Arkansas this morning, definitely thankful that folks there are okay. The measures put in place to thwart this coronavirus, though, have appeared to maybe in that area help to save lives because, of course, they're asking everybody to hunker down. And a lot of those folks being at home and not being out, there were some areas there in Arkansas that were hit pretty hard, and there could have been some loss of life if things would have been a little bit different. Friends, we'll step aside. We'll take a break. We have Dr. Chau Nguyen coming up here in just a few moments. Stay with us. This is Good Morning Georgetown on Hip Radio Network. It's Georgetown's hometown station. We'll be right back. Happy Monday, everyone. We'll be right back here in just a few moments. Good morning, Georgetown. Welcome back to Good Morning Georgetown here on Hip Radio Network. Now joined by Dr. Chau Nguyen. Dr. Nguyen, can you hear us this morning? For some reason, I don't have you on my end. Let me try to fix that real quick. I think you're muted, Dr. Nguyen. Let me see if...
There you go.
Yeah, now I got you.
Can you hear me now?
I got you, buddy. Yes, sir. Well, again, we're joined here by Dr. Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health, of one of our sponsors here on HRN. But even more than that, you've been taking care of folks here in the community, Dr. Nguyen, and appreciate your time and being with us again this morning as we had you on just a few days ago or last week, and just wanted to chat with you this morning again. Just an update this morning regarding the coronavirus pandemic, and some folks may have some questions out there. So thanks for being with us, Dr. Nguyen.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So what have you seen, and I know you can't give away a lot of information, of course, due to HIPAA, but what have you seen so far here in this community as far as people coming in and those kind of things with this COVID-19 pandemic here in Central Texas?
Well, we will see more and more COVID-19 cases for sure in the next few months. We are learning more and more about it all the time. The symptoms is very variable. You could have some symptoms, no symptoms. So the whole spectrum that we have seen, eventually about 60% of us will have it at some point in the next few months.
And Dr. Nguyen, from what I've been reading, and then of course talking to others in the medical industry, I don't think we're close to this peaking. It still maybe another 2 to 3 weeks away. Is that a valid statement?
Well, I hope it won't be 2 to 3 weeks. Hopefully it'll be 2 to 3 months. The reason is I reviewed the report that came out of UT Austin in the last couple weeks that was briefed to the Travis County. They said if we peak in the next few weeks, then we'd be in trouble. they review 4 scenarios: no social distancing, 50% reduction, 75 and 90% reduction. They say if we don't have any social distancing at all, then they predict to have about 10,500 deaths by the time it peaks in early June. And the demand on the ICU beds to the community would be about 3.5 times more than what we have. That's why there's so many deaths. Now, with school closure and a 50% reduction, they say there'll be about 6,300 deaths and a peak in late July. But still, demand is two times more than the ICU bed available. With 75 reduction, there's only 1,400 deaths, still a lot. But it will peak much later in the year, but still two times what we have. What they are advocating for is a 90% reduction in interaction within folks, and it will peak much later in the year. And that's what we're hoping for. If it peaks in the next couple of weeks, then we are all in trouble.
Well, we continue to talk to Dr. Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health here in Georgetown this morning, Ochna Health Direct Primary Care. Dr. Nguyen, there's, for me, and I want to be careful about a few things that I say because, I'm definitely not trying to offend anybody, but I also do want to be very clear about this as, of course, as doctors, you guys always put down telling us what to do, and then people don't always listen. But these stay home, stay safe orders that we are seeing, there's still a lot of folks getting up, moving about, and a lot of people aren't taking this seriously. What message do you have for people that think that this is just being overblown or overreacted?
I mean, just look at New York City right now. New York is nowhere near the peak just yet. The peak is still about a few weeks away to a month away for them. And they are in tremendous, it's just beyond words right now. I have several friends, my classmates is an ER doctor in New York City. And all they say is like, stay home, please. He drove around New York City to see folks still lining up, to go to the store. I mean, they have used the convention center in New York as a makeshift hospital to isolate people. And I think if, look at New York, that's not the worst just yet for them. And it might be us in the next couple of months if we don't do anything.
There's been a debate circulating on the internet, and I wanted to ask you about this because, I'm not a doctor, and I said this earlier, and it's the 99% of people on Facebook who are spitting out stuff aren't doctors in the medical field. And so I said, well, we have the expert on this morning, so we'll ask him about it. There's been a lot of circulation going around about the flu being much worse than this, and why didn't the country shut down over the flu? And I did the simple math, and the math shows that it's like a 0.06 mortality rate versus a 1.5 or so percent.
It's about 0.1, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so kind of putting that math together, this is essentially maybe around 29 times more fatal. But then there's other information that people post directly from the CDC that show flu and pneumonia having about a 7.9% mortality rate. So how can you kind of distinguish those numbers, and what does all that mean, and how does it break down? Because that information from the CDC does make it appear that the flu and pneumonia is more fatal, but those numbers just don't add up. So kind of what is your thoughts on that, Dr. Nguyen, and how do we make sense of those numbers?
Well, yeah, the flu, definitely, like as you mentioned there, it can be very hard on all of us, but not all of us who has the flu will need to be hospitalized. And it doesn't happen all at the same time. Think of I-35, you get all of us, morning, noon, evening commutes, get on I-35 at the same time. If we all get at the same time, we're not going to go anywhere. We all got just stuck sitting there. And that's what happened with the coronavirus is when you get sick, almost 20% of us will end up needing a hospital. And we all need it at the same time. And with the hospital capacity just cannot handle it, So that's the big distinguishing. It is also very serious as well. It's caused a much more serious illness than the flu.
Yeah, and that's and someone had just sent that graphic again. It says the percentage of deaths, and I'm just reading this from the CDC here. The percentage of deaths attributed to pneumonia and influenza is 7.4% above the epidemic threshold of 7.3%. And that's just where I'm kind of confused on those numbers, Dr. Nguyen. I know that's kind of hard, throwing information out real quick like that. But, how do you really look at that and then say, well, coronavirus isn't as severe as the flu.
In terms of the number of deaths, or
yeah,
in terms of the severity?
Yeah, I think both the number of deaths and the severity, because those numbers from the CDC, I don't know where they're getting that from, because that, if we had a 7.4% mortality rate of the flu and I'm trying to say this in the right of flu and pneumonia, then we would have millions of people dying. That's not the case as far as the flu and pneumonia. So I don't understand those numbers.
Well, the flu is kind of like you said, spread out throughout the season. With the coronavirus, it's just not happening all at the same time. Like, see, New York City is now, San Francisco is, a few weeks ago, and could be Chicago then, and New Orleans next. So it happened at various time. But if you think about it, the flu is kind of like from November to about March, April time. This virus will probably be year round, and it hit community one by one. It doesn't hit all at the same time. And, when it hits, no matter if you are, 20 years old or 40 years old or 60 years old, it hits everybody. It has no discrimination. And like 20% of you end up at the hospital, and it's just overwhelming the hospital. And there's no illnesses that 20% of you will require a hospital, not the flu. And that's why it's so serious, that it's just more than the system can handle and care for.
What is one thing, too, and I just wanted to ask you of this, it appears that the coronavirus is also a lot more contagious, Dr. Nguyen.
Yes, much more so.
And that's what makes it really scary, is because the incubation period, we keep hearing, it could be anywhere from 7 to 14 to even more days, and that is something to be worried about. I was reading something from, I don't know if it may have been the graphic that we had showed when you were on our show last week, Dr. Nguyen, but it talked about, one person could be carrying that, of course, not even know it, and then each person carrying the virus that doesn't know it could potentially affect another 2.5 people.
Right.
So talk a little bit more about that and just the transmission and what makes this virus and this illness a lot more dangerous than the flu.
Yeah, the flu is not as contagious. The flu, when you get it, it hit you fast and hit you hard. You feel like you run by a truck and you were sick, you have fever, and you just stay home. It hit you hard. With the coronavirus, it hits you lightly. Like you said, you can go for 5 to 10 days without knowing that you have it, or have no symptoms at all. And then you go home and spread to everyone else, your families, your communities, your coworkers. And and that's why it can spread so wide that we just cannot control it.
One thing, again, we're talking to Dr. Nguyen here, Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health, Direct Primary Care here in Georgetown. Dr. Nguyen, you've put together a blog on this, if I'm not mistaken. That website is, do you mind talking about that? Or I don't know if you put it together, but there was a website that you had sent me a while back that had some pretty good information on it.
Yeah. I put together a website called doihavecovid.net. It's just some questionnaires on there to talk about social distancing. And, it's just to make folks more aware of how severe this thing is. And it can be very serious if we don't do anything about it at all. And it will require extraordinary community cooperation with social distancing. It shows in Italy where, they are kind of so about it. At the beginning it's very light, and that's why they hit so hard right now. 80% of the transmission occur is in families, seen in China, seen in Italy. And without community support, this cannot be beat.
Dr. Nguyen, there's a lot of restaurants, and we definitely hope the best for them, of course, but there's so many people that when we had this, this stay home, stay safe order, that basically, said, hey, if you don't go out unless you have to, and I'm hearing reports, and I'm not saying this, in a negative way, I'm just speaking kind of the truth here, is getting alcohol to go really essential right now? And I don't, I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm just being honest here. And there's so many businesses that, are they really essential to being open right now? And my concern is that I'm seeing people around, for instance, last week, I've been at home now. This will be my 5th day where I haven't really gotten out. I mean, I've rode my bike down the street in the neighborhood away from everybody, but other than that, I haven't touched getting out in public.
Same here, yeah.
And the thing is, Dr. Nguyen, as I continue to see what's happening and the progression, how safe is it right now for people to be still getting food and things from restaurants? I know that those businesses are struggling, and I'm not calling them out, but anything that people are offering, how dangerous is that right now, or is it dangerous at all, and what precautions should they be taking?
I mean, whenever you go out for anything, go to the grocery store, to go to the restaurant, to do takeout, always do social distancing, wash your hands. It's not primarily that you have food. So the food itself won't be the one to give you the infection, but you need to wash your hands. Don't touch your face if your hands is not washed. That's the best thing you can do. In terms of essential, I mean, it's up to the governor and the city and the county to define who they are. I'm not in the, I'm not going to get to that.
You're not the judge.
Who's essential or not? I mean, I know a couple of my colleagues who are ophthalmologists who've had to close their practice because, they do eye examinations right there and they can't do it. And several other surgeons have done the same because they, it's routine surgery, is not essential, so they don't do it. But it depends, as defined by the government, by providing food and others. But safety, if you go to the grocery store, HEB, or anything like that, social distancing is key, because otherwise it could be the new hotbed for transmitting the coronavirus. I was at Home Depot over the weekend and it was crowded. Folks are standing 2 feet out, apart, next to each other, finding the lines, going down the same aisle to get stuff. And we need to be more conscious about social distancing everywhere we go. Folks stay at home, they go out there, get some trees to plant and, mulch to spread, which is great, but still you have to do social distancing, because that's the best thing we can do as a community.
I was at a couple of, before, staying at home the last 5 days, and I see a lot of folks wearing gloves, Dr. Nguyen, but then there's so much cross-contamination going on.
Right.
What advice do you have for people? I know that they're trying to be safe, but what advice do you have for folks if they want to wear gloves? What are some ways to not cross-contaminate? Because it doesn't do any good if you're touching things and scratching your face, even if you have a pair of gloves on.
Correct. I mean, if you really want to, you wear glove, you touch stuff and you just throw that away. That's what we do in medical world. Like we put on glove, we touch things, and then we just throw the glove away. If you don't change glove, then might as well don't wear glove, because you touch everything, you cross-contaminate, you touch your face. It's just not going to work. The best thing we can all do, though, is to wear a mask. So, the mask, what it does is remind you, hey, don't touch my face because there's something there. But the mask will allow you to keep the germ to yourself, mainly to protect others. So if you are sick, if you cough or sneeze, sometimes those are uncontrollable, then the mask will just hold the germs behind the mask, so it won't spread to the surroundings around you. And think about it, if we all wear a mask, no matter if we're sick or not, then there will be no stigma for wearing a mask. Like, hey, you're sick, try to avoid you. But if you have a cough or something, then it keep the germ to yourself and slow the spread significantly. I mean, that's a cultural norm in Japan. You see everywhere people wear masks, not to protect them, but to protect others around it. And even like fabric masks, cotton fabric masks, is homemade, those are perfectly fine as well, mainly to protect others around you from you.
One thing, Dr. Nguyen, definitely folks just need to stay safe and stay apart from each other. How do you answer questions, and from a medical standpoint, from folks that say that, and I may have asked you this earlier, but just kind of wanted to recap for anybody that's just joining us as we continue to talk to Dr. Nguyen here, Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health, Direct Primary Care here in Georgetown. Appreciate your time, Dr. Nguyen. How would you answer people who say that, that we're just overreacting, that this isn't that serious?
Well, we are, not overreacting per se, but thinking about what's coming up next. And, with the incubation period, anywhere from 5 to 14 days. What we see now is from 2 weeks ago, from 3 weeks ago, not right now. Any transmission happening now will appear 3 weeks later. So, so because of that delay, you just don't see anything just yet. So that's why it's so hard to be afraid of something that you can't see. That's why it's called the invisible bug that just spread around stealthily without you being able to detect it. And it's just so hard to convince that. But what we're looking now is about 2 weeks down the road. What we see today will happen 2 weeks down the road. So do it now to protect yourself 3 weeks down the road. I mean, it's not right now though, because there's a delay in the symptoms showing up, delay in the number of cases being reported. That is so underreported right now because we're not testing enough.
I had a question here for Dr. Nguyen. If you've got any questions, we've got just a few more minutes. Dr. Nguyen, I know that you've got to get going here in just a little bit. As always, appreciate your time, and thanks for providing us this weekly update. Ross had sent a question in here that said, in early February, I had a fever of 102.5, very achy joints, long-lasting dry cough. Flu test was negative, but they treated me with Tamiflu because of the symptoms. He said also that he had a flu shot in December. Could I have had COVID-19 but missed it because of the lack of a test?
This is in late February, you said?
No, he said at the end of let me reread this here. Yeah, it said in early February. Yep.
Okay. I mean, it could very well be. There's no way for us to prove or disprove that. But eventually there'll be more tests coming. There were 3 tests announced over the weekend, and a few of them will check for what you call IgG and IgM. IgG is a past infection. So we check that and you say it was positive. That means that, hey, you probably had the infection already. You probably will be immune. But again, nobody knows about, if you have immunity, how long that will last. But at least they'll give you like, okay, you probably had it. But I have a few cases as well that I can't prove or disprove whether the patients have it because there's just no test available.
Well, Dr. Nguyen, appreciate your time this morning. Just a few more minutes here as we talk to Dr. Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health here in Georgetown. Dr. Nguyen, the FDA, I was reading some information about, I believe it was Abbott Labs and some other ones now have produced a 15-minute or even like a 3 to 5 minute rapid test. Can you talk a little bit about that and just the availability of those tests and how that's going to help?
Right. Yeah. There's one from Abbott. There's one from Henry Schein, which is the blood IgG IgM test. Abbott is a test. There's another one called CIFID, if I pronounce it right. It came out over the weekend as well. Those are point of care testing that we can do it result within 15 minutes or so of telling you yes or no, you have it. It's mainly geared for regions hard hit like New York, San Francisco, and potentially New Orleans and other areas. It's not quite ready to be in our offices just yet. It's also very expensive. So it might be out of the financial reach of the small clinic like ours. I mean, just the test is about $60, $70 per test, but the machine that used to read it will cost anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 for the machine. And it just, it's a small clinic that's going to be outreach for most of us, except for the big hospitals where they are maybe available.
Well, Dr. Nguyen, appreciate your time this morning. Again, from Ochna Health Direct Primary Care. Dr. Nguyen, if anybody has any information, or if they want to get in touch with you and your clinic, talk a little bit about what you guys do and what makes you different. I appreciate what you do for the community and your business model and how you help out folks. How can people get more information? And if they wanted to be involved in your clinic, what can they do to get in touch with you?
Yeah, our website is ochnahealth.com, OCHNAhealth.com, and we have transitioned to a mostly telemedicine service. And previously, we do it for our members, but given the outbreak, we have extended telemedicine service to everyone. We perform almost all visits that way, lab reviews, and that has helped folks out as well, not coming in, not spreading. And us, we might be asymptomatically infected as well and not giving to each other. So go website and we're here for you.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Nguyen, I just wanted to ask you, I've seen some images from your clinic and you guys have been, completely covered in PPE during a lot of this. Kind of talk about how important that is, Dr. Nguyen.
Yeah, that's extremely important. We actually have done some testing. So we do some strep tests, flu tests, and COVID-19 tests with folks in the vehicle, in the parking lot. We come out in the gear and we come out and do the swabs and just minimize contact with folks who might be in the clinic and vice versa. That will probably be ongoing for the next 4 or 5 months into the late fall. We expect here, this thing's going to be around until fall. It won't be over in 2 weeks or 2 months. Be here for a long time.
I had another question here as we wrap up with Dr. Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health Direct Primary Care. Someone asking, is there any new information about immunity once you've had it?
There are reports from China and other places around it that folks who have, they check the blood test and they have immunity. They just don't know how long that will last because they're so new about it. There's some report of folks being tested, they have the virus and then they don't, and have it again. Is it because the test failed to detect it one time, or is it because they have a secondary infection? They still don't know yet. But there've been a lot of folks with immunity who have a mild infection, don't even know about it, or have no symptoms at all, and they have immunity from it. And they've been talking about getting the antibody from these folks to transfer to the folks who are sick. It's still an experimental procedure to do that. But definitely, as we have more cases and more studies about it, we'll know more about it. But much of it is unknown at this time.
Well, Dr. Nguyen, appreciate you and your time, and hopefully we can check in with you, once a week or so. I know that you're extremely busy and taking care of folks here in Georgetown. Just any final comments? We've talked about social distancing, kind of reiterate to folks how important that is and just really how serious this illness is, because I still feel like a lot of people aren't taking it that serious.
Yeah, on our blog, there's a link to the Washington Post, one of the graphics that you showed last time. When the interaction dropped to below, about 90% reduction, it's very, very much containable, as shown in the study from the UT as well. We might have to forego handshaking, forego hugging, even elbow bumping, because I might be coughing here to my sleeve and I will bump you and it's transferred to your shirts and whatnot, and then you cough and bring it right to your face. And that might be for the foreseeable future, just so we can decrease the spread of this virus. And it will take everybody social distancing. And, if you're sick, wear a mask, or everyone wearing masks to reduce the stigma to help protect the community from this virus. And it can be beat. And it will take the whole country being shut down for 14 days, which, probably will be impractical. But it will take something close to it to kind of slow the spread of this thing.
One final question that we are seeing, of course, New York City, a very big city, they have become the epicenter
very
for
dense.
this entire
Yes.
pandemic. Kind of talk about what's going on there and why we're seeing that. Of course, the numbers of people. Somebody said it's because they live in buildings and the recirculated air. I don't know much about that, but it's just so many people compressed together. Talk about what's going on there in New York and why it's so important that we really see what's happening there, because we need to get a better understanding, because that could happen in an area like this if we're not careful.
Right, New York, it's a lot of people traveling from it, arriving to it from other countries. So a lot of people arriving through there. So bring up germs from almost everywhere. Plus, they're very dense. They live in, like you said, on high density housing, and they work in close proximity to each other. A lot of events going on, and that's why it spreads so fast. Will it happen here in Austin? Hopefully not as bad, because we're not as dense, but the downtown area definitely is. But prevent those things spread will be crucial. I mean, like I said, my classmate is an ER doctor there, and he said what he sees is we'll never imagine in his lifetime to see. And it gets to a point where some hospitals are discussing whether to ration care, and it's something that none of us doctors wants to do. I mean, that's the worst thing that we want to do, and hopefully we'll never come to that here. I mean, it's just heartbreaking to having to do that.
We've had some cases here now in this area, of course, with death here in Williamson County, unfortunate. And then we heard of a man, 44 years old, no previous health issues,
in,
6
in
children
New Braunfels,
in New Braunfels who passed away, and then unfortunately an infant, in the area has passed away, and that's just some tough things. So we've got to be serious. Dr. Nguyen, thank you for reiterating the seriousness of this illness, and we look forward to catching up with you again next week. Thank you for your time, Dr. Nguyen.
Hey, thank you, Rob, for your time. Thank you. Take care, folks.
You bet. Yes, sir. Have a good day. Once again, that was Dr. Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health Direct Primary Care here in the Georgetown area. We appreciate his time and all that he is doing in the community to keep us up to date. We'll step aside and take a break. Time now is 8 a.m. When we come back, we will have I just talked to Dr. Nguyen. We will have Doug Groves of Program Insurance Group on our show to talk more about his business and what they are going through. Stay with us, friends. This is Good Morning Georgetown. Happy Monday here on Hip Radio Network. We'll be right back. This is your hometown station.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
As last week ended, President Trump was saying he was hoping the country would be reopened for business despite the coronavirus pandemic by Easter Sunday, April 12th. However, yesterday he announced he's extending social distancing guidelines as a result of the virus for several more weeks.
We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th. To slow the spread.
New York City's mayor calling it a last resort. Bill de Blasio saying he has authorized police to issue $500 tickets to people who violate social distancing rules amid the coronavirus pandemic. Pope Francis calling for a temporary worldwide ceasefire. He called for the global halt to hostilities yesterday, saying countries need to protect their people from the coronavirus pandemic. And this is USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I think I've turned a corner in not having so much fatigue. That was my initial problem, was I was just tired all the time. So I think it's helping me with that. I think it's a whole lot better as a supplement than a lot of other products. Basically, you heal from the cellular level up. That's why nutrition is so important. Having whole foods is very important for health. I really think that it's been helping me overall.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson declaring a disaster in the city of Jonesboro after a Saturday tornado touched down there. The National Weather Service says that it was an EF3 tornado. It did serious damage to downtown Jonesboro, but only a few minor injuries were reported. An EF1 touchdown in nearby Greene County. Checks from the recently passed coronavirus economic stimulus bill should be arriving in American bank accounts and mailboxes within the next 3 to 4 weeks, according to Treasury Chief Stephen Mnuchin. A family of 4 could get up to $3,400, while an individual taxpayer would receive around $1,200. On this day in history, President Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded after a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton Hotel. John Hinckley Jr. later disclosed that he was motivated by wanting to impress actress Jodie Foster. This is USA Radio News.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Isolated thunderstorms likely today, otherwise overcast skies. Highs around 70, easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for isolated thunderstorms again tonight. Lows dip down to about 55, mainly clear skies and quiet. Daytime highs approaching 74 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 62 degrees.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The switch is on. Welcome to Good Morning Georgetown with Rob and Ken. Waking you up in the mornings and getting your day started with the hottest hits, news, and jokes. Get ready. And now here's your hosts, Rob Hip and Ken Covington.
Well, I promise, friends, Ken is going to be back on the show before too long. He'll be joining us this week via remote. We are working remotely here. Welcome back. Second half of the show. Good morning, Georgetown, here on Hip Radio Network, Georgetown. We are Georgetown's hometown station. Thanks for joining us here this morning. We've got our special guest coming up here in just a few moments, Doug Groves of Program Insurance Group. Doug Groves is the force behind Program Insurance Group and its affiliate Easy Cert Management. Doug has over 30 years of experience in the insurance industry with his multifaceted background as an area developer for multiple franchises. Doug brings the expertise of the franchise industry to Program Insurance and Certificate Management Services. He maintains ownership in 3 insurance agencies and continues to do franchise development. He has a wife, 3 adult children, and is an avid outdoorsman. Doug is passionate about philanthropy and is filled with an entrepreneurial spirit. I've known Doug a long time. I consider him a good friend. He helped me when I first got started, giving me a lot of ideas and just motivation and mentorship way back in the day when I had my computer business. But we are now joined on the show this morning by Doug Groves. Doug, can you hear us out there?
I can hear you fine. My headphones aren't working, but I'm just being able to hear you off the computer.
Yeah, I can hear you there. I can hear you, Doug, so I think we're all good, even if your headphones aren't working. But, man, thank you for joining us this morning. You know, I've known you a long time, Doug. I've always been impressed with just your knowledge in the insurance industry and all the things that you do. But before we dig into that, talk a little bit about just being here in Georgetown and how you got here and what you love about this community, my friend.
Oh, man, my wife and I moved to Georgetown in 1983, I believe, and been here ever since. We really like the area. My wife was from Georgetown. I was from Round Rock, so we didn't come from very far. But we really enjoyed it here. Got to raise 3 wonderful kids, Georgetown schools, sent them off to college, and now we all work together every day. So we have a good time, and you know, this stuff that we're going through right now has probably been by far the most challenging for our team to deal with customers around the country, but we're going to muddle through. That's what we're doing.
Well, Doug, you've been in the insurance industry a long time, and one of our sponsors here on this show. You've supported a lot of what I've done personally with different ventures and now here on HRN, which means a lot, and I appreciate you for that. I just hate that we can't physically have you in studio. I was excited to have you, but, you know, we're having to do everything remotely. We have our commercial studio, of course, up the road, but I've been remoting into that studio from here at home, and that's just, you know, we want to do our part in trying to help keep everybody safe out there. Talk a little bit about your background in insurance, and then I want to, you know, really dig into how COVID-19 is affecting the industry. But before that, talk about just your knowledge in the industry and how you got into it and some of the things that you do, Doug.
Well, I got into the business a long time ago. My dad was an insurance agency owner in Austin, and I actually, when I graduated from Texas A&M, I went and handled claims for different insurance carriers, Hartford, Republic. Spent about 3 years in the claims business. Realized that that's a tough business. I'd get on the selling end of it and join my father's insurance agency in Austin. It was a good ride. We ended up buying my dad out in the 90s. Ended up selling that business in the 2010 and bought an agency in Georgetown that was originally called the Dady Insurance Agency. David Dady had started it about 23 years prior to 2010. And I'd always kind of bugged David about his business. And when I sold my Austin operation, David came to me and said, I'm tired. I'd like to stay in the insurance business, but I'm tired of handling employees and rent and lights and all that. And I said, well, I think we can do that for you. So we bought the insurance agency here in 2010. And since then, all my children have joined us. We do programs, and hence we changed the name to Program Insurance Group. because that's what we do. We're licensed from California to New York, and we help franchise brands essentially with their insurance needs, property and casualty, which is property, auto, umbrella, work comp, auto insurance. That's what we do for companies. Typically, they're a franchise around the country. We do as much business in California as we do in New York, as we do in Texas. We're still an independent insurance agency located here in Georgetown. We've got folks like Gene Lohan and Kyle Heff that work with local people, and we provide insurance products, solutions for people's needs. But we've kind of always had a focus on programs, doing things over and over and over and over again for the same folks. And we've kind of devised our insurance operation. We have a lot of people work out of their homes, which has become a benefit to us. We didn't know why that was going to be a benefit to us, but we've been working remotely with folks around the country. And so that's kind of come back to pay us a few dividends the last 3 weeks, essentially. We're here at the office on Williams Drive, and I'll probably have 4 people in here this week. Myself, my daughter, usually Gene Lohan will come in, and 1 or 2 of the commercial service rep girls. And we're going to keep the office open as long as we possibly can and provide services, answer questions. And that's what we're doing now. And mainly figuring it out as we go. We haven't dealt with this problem in the past. Obviously, it's easy to say that we don't have a roadmap for Corona-19 or COVID-19. So we're learning this with our customers as we go through it, and how to deal with insurance policies, how to deal with insurance companies, how to deal with claims people. Every day is kind of a new day.
Well, we're talking to Doug Groves this morning of Program Insurance Group, and appreciate you being here on the program with us this morning. Doug Groves, again, a Program Insurance Group, online at pigbcs.com. You know, you're talking a little bit, Doug, you touched base a little bit on this whole COVID-19 pandemic. How has it been affecting the industry? And you were already talking that you guys are working a lot remotely. How has it affected your industry? Because you guys aren't really in the health insurance scope, more on the business side, but then also taking care of residential folks as well through regular products. How has it affected your industry, and how are you continuing to work remotely and help people?
Well, currently the residential personal lines insurance business has probably not been affected too bad. People's homes still maintain their insurance. People's cars still maintain their insurance. We haven't had to spend a lot of time with personal lines people where it has not hurt us, but where we have spent the majority of our time is with our business customers around the country. We're typically retail-based insurance around the country. So we started about 3 weeks ago with the business interruption insurance questions about how business interruption will respond to a virus, how business interruption will respond to, I'm shutting my business doors, do I have any insurance for this type of operation? So we've done quite a lot of articles. We've contacted every customer that we have, commercial customer across the country, probably 4 times now by email, trying to explain to them, if you have questions, call us. Typically, the way the policy has been charged, the way the policy has been written, the virus business interruption coverages is not included. And currently, that's the way that we read the policy. With the governmental actions, with the things that are happening, I don't know from day to day if that will hold, if the insurance companies will be charged with maybe dispersing money through an insurance policy and get their relief from the government. But it's been tough. But having people can work from home, the phones are manned. Quite frankly, any business that was a virtual business, if it's not the insurance business, can't be virtual. I don't know what business could be virtual. We deliver our product through email. We can answer questions. We can contact folks. So having folks set up, ready to go out of their homes has been a blessing to us. And we'll work through the issues that arise with business interruption insurance. I'm awfully concerned about vandalism and fires when we have unattended buildings. They're unattended on purpose. We have vacancy issues that the insurance companies have in policies. And then, quite frankly, I'm concerned about people being in buildings that shouldn't be in buildings and doing stuff that they shouldn't do. So I think one thing that happens in this world is just a change that starts happening, and things happen that you would never imagine that could happen, but you never imagined that we would shut the whole country down. And I'm not a doctor. I read as much as I possibly can. I listened to your guests this morning. Everybody has an idea of what they should do, they shouldn't do, their staff should do, their family should do. But we got to come out on the other side. And we have to come out of the other side, or we can't fight again. So we're keeping people safe, keeping the family safe, staying off the road as much as we possibly can. And we're going to beat this deal.
Well, we're continuing to talk to Doug Groves of Program Insurance Group this morning here on Hip Radio Network Georgetown. You can visit them online at pigbcs.com as one of our sponsors here. I've known Doug. Doug, I got to tell you, man, I think I've known you, my goodness, probably close to, I guess we're closing in on, I would say 18 years now.
I think you're around my oldest son's age. They might be a little bit older than. Are you Tyler Wolf? Aren't you around his age?
A little bit older than Tyler. Tyler's joining us this morning too. Good morning to you, Tyler. I saw him a while ago. So yeah, it was right when I first started Click, and that was, I guess it's about 16, 17 years, man. It's crazy how fast time flies by.
Yeah, well, we used to hang out over on Highway 29, and then we went even farther west on Highway 29, and I remember your name all the time, and then I'd see you around town. And I'm really proud of what you're doing with the radio station here. And I mean, it gives people a way to listen to things locally and what's happening in their town. And we try to add some value to you and your station, and I hope that we do.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and I appreciate that, Doug. As we continue to talk to Doug Groves here at Program Insurance Group. Doug, I wanted to ask you, in the insurance industry, have you received anything yet from, as far as any information from the government, this new stimulus package? Is there anything that you may know of in that package that's going to help your industry? Have you heard anything like that?
Not industry specific. I think as a business owner, there's quite a lot there that's going to help me. I've visited with my bankers. I bank out of Austin. I think they're aware of what we can do. There's payroll tax, not elimination, but deferment on payroll tax for business owners. There is a way to borrow money for payroll to keep your people still working. That it can be considered a grant or a loan. There are things that you can borrow money for: mortgage payments, leases payments, payroll, which is, quite frankly, my biggest expense is payroll. We've got to keep our folks working. We've got to keep the talent that we've assimilated around us. We've got to keep that talent. And so we're working, trying to see what's available for our business, and push that information out to our customer base, that these are the things that we've read in the relief bill. These are the things that are available for all businesses. And then more specifically for insurance, we're advising people to keep every policy that you had purchased from your current provider. Keep those policies in force. And if you have a payment problem or a premium problem, please contact your agent or your company. Typically, the agent doesn't have the ability to make payment concessions, payment issues with you, but they can put you in touch with an insurance company like Hartford, like Hanover, like Travelers. And we're getting stuff every day from these carriers saying, please don't have a customer cancel their insurance have them contact us. We'll make arrangements for certain payment relief. We'll just take it on the end. We'll cut it in half. There's the insurance companies. I don't feel, it's my opinion, that they're going to cancel you if you make some kind of payment and acknowledge that you would like to keep the insurance in place. Just the whole deal of staying in contact with your provider is coming true. You've got to tell people what your problem is, and everybody knows what your problem is. You've got to tell them what your financial situation is and let them try to figure out how to keep the policies in place for you in conjunction with the carriers. And that's my biggest advice to people now is it's not a time to wholesale cancel anything. Do you need to work on premium basis, estimated on premiums? In other words, if you had $1 million that you thought you were going to do in gross sales and that's the way your premium is figured, do you need to change that number to 750 or 500 or $1,250,000? By all means, be in contact with your provider and let them know your situation and let them give you advice.
As we talk to Doug Groves here this morning, a Program Insurance Group, as we'll continue to talk to Doug here for a few more moments. Doug, you guys not just helping commercial, but also on the residential end as well. Talk a little bit more about the products and services that you offer, because you guys really are a one-stop shop for all your insurance needs. And, with my sports broadcasting company, we couldn't find media insurance anywhere. And if you know Georgetown, of course, Gene Lawhon, and Gene was able to get out there and find some insurance for us in the media industry, which was crazy because I couldn't find it anywhere. And, of course, Gene came to the rescue and found it. You got a lot of wonderful staff there, such as Melanie Hoy, of course, Kyle Hepp, who's been on this show last quarter, and now talking to Doug Groves. But talk a little bit more about those products and services that you guys offer.
Well, we offer a full array of insurance products: homeowners, automobile, contents, umbrellas, and then a whole suite of business insurance, workers' compensation, general liability. We provide that, and we're an independent insurance agent, so we have the ability to shop the market, to go out into the field and find an insurance company that specializes in what you do. We have the big carriers, Hartford, Hanover, Travelers. We have those type of carriers. We have regional carriers, the UFGs and stuff like that work regionally based, state auto that maybe not be in every state, but they're in 40 states. So we usually can find a product for a business. And guys like Gene Lawhon, David Dady, Kyle, Melanie, we're just going to try to put the particular need in front of the person who handles that type of insurance, and then we'll go shop it and figure out if we've got a product for you. I think it's going to be a challenging 2020 going forward on shopping, but I do counsel people and tell them if you think you are overspending your budget for insurance, let's look at that, what you're spending, and let's get those numbers adjusted to fit your business situation right now. But let's keep these policies in place, and that's our whole goal. We don't want to cancel anything. We want to keep workers' compensation coverage, and especially now when I've got people working at home that aren't used to being at home, and the risk associated with being from home is different than a risk being associated in my office building. Could be greater in my office building, could be less in my office building. So as long as you have people on payroll and as long as you are doing some business, let's keep those insurance policies in force, and that way we can keep everybody out of trouble.
Well, as we continue to talk to Doug Groves here, a Program Insurance Group here on Good Morning Georgetown, just a few more minutes. Doug, I wanted to give you an opportunity. You've been in the community a long time here in Georgetown. You've been serving the residents of this community through your insurance business. Just from your standpoint, you've been here for a while. What makes Georgetown such a unique and a special place? Because I know that you love this community just like so many others that are here. What makes it a special place for you, Doug?
Well, man, my opinion is this: the square. the sense of community that physical location brings to the 25-mile square around Georgetown is phenomenal. The old town, and I can remember times in Georgetown when the square was not as popular as it is now. And I think back and I think, wow, what a mistake that was not to realize what the value of that square, that courthouse, those businesses means to everybody. And I think people come to Central Texas. I used to tell home builders, Sun City came to Georgetown and everybody was concerned about the growth. And I said, this is the best thing that ever happened to Georgetown because it's going to drive people to Central Texas. Some people will love Sun City and some people will say, hey, that's not for me, but I want to live in this area and it'll be good for home builders. You have to be in a favor of growth because Georgetown is growing. I'm sure it's going to change. It's not going to be like it was in the 80s or the 90s. But typically I find it to be a very nice place to raise a family. And now my family's essentially raising, watching grandbabies and wanting to take them to the square and play on the grass. I think that's the value that it brings.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question. You know, back in the day, I believe you used to dabble in aviation a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I was a pilot. My wife and I were both pilots, and being a pilot is nothing other than shrink the world for you. You can be in San Angelo or Dallas or Brownsville in a matter of hours. When Texas is as big as it is, it freed us up to be able to attend to business needs around the state. And then I ran into some health problems and I retired my pilot career. But I'd like to fly again. I really would.
Awesome. Well, Doug, any final comments from you? I appreciate you being on the show this morning. Again, I consider you a good friend. I've always appreciated your support, not just with me, but, of course, so many others in the community, which is what is important. Just wanted to give you an opportunity here this morning, some final thoughts and just a final bit of advice that you have for folks out there right now during this COVID-19 pandemic, Doug.
I listened to the doctor this morning. We're reading every day, reading about business interruption insurance, what businesses should do with payroll, what businesses should do with workers' compensation issues. And so we don't know it all. I think we stay pretty on top of what's going on today. We're trying to do a day at a time. Let's get through today and we'll line up back again tomorrow. But really, the biggest advice I could give to people is stay in contact with your provider, your insurance provider. That's what we do. Stay in contact with them. Let them know what is going on in your business. You don't need to write a 13-page dissertation on what's happening. We know what's happening. We know your business is affected. We know you have insurance. And then let's make sure that these products are responding in the way that they were priced and written to respond to you for. We'll wait and see what the government stimulus package does for us. But the velocity of money, the money has to move. That's how we all make money. The money has to move from one vendor to the next vendor, to the next vendor, to the next vendor. And if the government will stimulate the economy and the people will get moving when it's safe, then I think we'll come out of this pretty quickly.
Well, Doug, appreciate your time this morning. Of course, for more information, folks can visit you online at pigbcs.com. That's pigbcs.com. Man, I got to tell you, too, it's awesome knowing you, Doug, and just developing a friendship with you over the past so many years and then getting to know Kyle Hepp, who works for you. I know you've got a lot of great folks, but I've gotten to know Kyle pretty well. He's a great guy. I think he was joining us as well. So you've got a good team. We're praying for you guys, praying for everybody out there in Georgetown that we can all get through this together. Doug, I sincerely appreciate you, and thank you for being on the show this morning.
Thank you, Rob. We really enjoyed it. Our website, pigbcs.com, is where we post all the information about government relief, about COVID. That's where you can go. And then, call us if you have some questions. It doesn't matter if we're your provider or not. We'll answer the question. That's what we do for a living. And we enjoy watching your show, and we wish you all the luck in the world, Rob.
Appreciate you, Doug. Thank you, and tell Patty hello for us, and you guys have a wonderful day. Appreciate you, Doug.
All right, Rob. Take care, buddy.
Once again, that was Doug Groves of Program Insurance Group, one of our sponsors here, a person that I've known for well over a decade, someone that I consider a good friend, and appreciate him and his time being on here to talk a little bit about the insurance business this morning and just kind of how they're dealing with this entire pandemic and trying to get through. Well, time now is 8:30 a.m. We'll step aside for another break. When we come back, we'll talk more about what's going on in Georgetown. We'll step aside from a lot of this COVID mess, and we'll have a little bit of fun and inspiration. Stay with us, friends. This is Good Morning Georgetown on the Hip Radio Network. It's Georgetown's hometown station. We'll be right back here in just a few moments.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
Get used to social distancing because President Trump now says more time will be needed for the nation to deal with the coronavirus. The president had earlier said he was hoping to have the country open for business again by Easter, which is April 12th. Now he says he's extending his social distancing guidelines to at least April 30th. Speaking at yesterday's White House briefing on coronavirus, Trump said he believes the nation will now rebound by early June. Jonesboro, Arkansas, cleaning up after Saturday's tornadoes. Small businesses there are already eligible for disaster loans and assistance set up for coronavirus-19. Governor Asa Hutchinson.
We're dealing with a tornado disaster and recovery, but at the same time, we can't forget that we're going through a virus disaster.
This is USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
You know, you hear the commercials, and it sounds, pretty hokey, to be perfectly honest, but I definitely have more energy. I don't get sleepy as early as I used to. I have fewer aches and pains. I haven't had any colds. It seems to be working, so we'll keep going with it.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code USA.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-215-5141. 800-215-5141. That's 800-215-5141.
Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont saying President Trump needs to be more careful about what he says after mentioning over the weekend he was considering a possible mandatory quarantine for New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. The president later said the mandatory quarantine was not necessary, but the Connecticut governor says...
And those words have created a certain amount of confusion. And when you lack clarity, that can create confusion, and confusion can lead to panic.
Florida is now screening people from areas hard hit by the virus, setting up checkpoints on major highways. Authorities are going to be on I-10 near the Alabama state line and I-95 near the Georgia state line, looking for people with plates from Connecticut, Louisiana, New Jersey, and New York. Amazon workers in New York plan to walk off the job today, claiming the online retail giant has mishandled its response to the coronavirus pandemic. And this is USA Radio News.
You know, I've told you I get the best sleep of my life with my MyPillow, but I'm not the only one. Mark in Las Vegas told me the other day, we were talking on other business, he says he went to MyPillow.com, clicked on the radio listener special, and used the promo code USA. He got a great deal on a MyPillow, and he is enjoying his sleep now. You can too. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener special, use my promo code USA, and I promise you, you'll get the best sleep of your life, or you get your money back.
A big-name country music star has died from coronavirus. Here's USA Radio's Wendy King.
Yeah, there's something women like about a pickup man.
Joe Diffie, who had a string of hits in the 1990s, has died after testing positive for COVID-19. Diffie on Friday announced he had contracted the virus, becoming the first country star to go public with such a diagnosis. Diffie's publicist, Scott Adkins, said the singer died in Nashville, Tennessee, due to complications from the virus. He was a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and was a member of the Grand Ole Opry for more than 25 years. He had hits like Honky Tonk Attitude, Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox, Bigger Than the Beatles, and If the Devil Danced in Empty Pockets.
Welcome to Earth, third rock from the sun.
He shared a Grammy Award for Best Country Collaboration for the song Same Old Train with Merle Haggard, Marty Stewart, and others. Joe Diffie is survived by his wife Tara and 7 children.
Rock from the sun.
He was 61. For USA Radio News, I'm Wendy King.
After 11 seasons on ABC, Modern Family will be signing off for good on April 8th. Before it does, the network will be airing a documentary about the series called A Modern Farewell, which will take a look at the show's run. And for USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
Here's your Georgetown forecast from the Hip Radio Network Weather Center. Isolated thunderstorms likely today, otherwise overcast skies. Highs around 70, easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for isolated thunderstorms again tonight. Lows dip down to about 55, mainly clear skies and quiet. Daytime highs approaching 74 tomorrow, mainly clear skies. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Frobley. Currently, it's 62 degrees.
Good morning, Georgetown. Thanks for waking up with us here on Hip Radio Network Georgetown. I'm Rob Hip on Good Morning, Georgetown. We've heard from Dr. Chau earlier today, also from Doug Groves of Program Insurance Group. No more guests today. Time now, though, 8:38 a.m. I hope you're waking up to a wonderful day. Chance of rain in the forecast today. It is, we had a beautiful weekend. I don't know how many of you were able to get outside, and, I know that we're under this stay home, stay safe order, but at least get outside and you can be in your own yard. You can ride your bike. Just stay away from people right now, and we're all going to get through this together. I'll talk a little bit more here in just a moment. Wanted to continue to chat about what we are doing here at HRN to support small business. We're working on something that a lot of folks have started to sign up for now, and I want to make sure that you get that opportunity as well. If you're a small business owner or you know somebody it's very important that you sign this form that we've got so you can get more information on how we can help you. Friends, wanted to talk. You heard about it on the USA Radio News just a few moments ago, but country music lost really someone that many have considered a legend. He had a lot of string of number one or top hits back in the 90s. I loved the song The Pickup Man, but sure hated to lose Joe Diffie, passing away at age 61. This article from dailymail.co.uk. The musician passed away after suffering complications from COVID-19, the respiratory illness caused by the novel coronavirus. His spokesman confirmed a variety just this weekend. Grammy-winning country music legend Joe Diffie passing away Sunday, March the 29th from complications due to the virus. His family respects their privacy at this time. Diffie just on Friday talking that he had contracted the virus. He had wrote, "I am under the care of medical professionals and currently receiving treatment after testing positive." His test post read, "My family and I are asking for privacy at this time." The statement continues, "We want to remind the public and all my fans to be vigilant, can't talk again this morning, cautious and careful during this pandemic." Additionally, publicist Scott Adkins released a similar statement regarding Diffie's state of health. The announcement made him the first country musician to report a positive coronavirus test, and unfortunately passing away. The Grammy winner was best known for more than 20 top 10 hits. He was a staple to country music radio in the 1990s for songs including Honky Tonk Attitude, Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox, boy, that was a good one, John Deere Green, Third Rock from the Sun, and of course, if you know country music, you know the song Pickup Man. Diffie was released 13 albums during his career, of which 2 were certified platinum, another 2 went gold. He also joined country music royalty as a member of the Grand Ole Opry for 25 years. The artist's commercial heyday mostly ended after the 90s. He hadn't really had a hit since 2001, but he had reportedly planned to release a new album in the near future, his first in 7 years. Even if he wasn't on the charts or the radio as much in recent years, other artists still felt a sense of gratitude for his music. In 2012, country singer Jason Aldean released the single 1994, which name-checked multiple Diffie hits and even mentioned him by his name. Diffie, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1958, he was raised 3 hours away, however, in Velma. He had an affinity for gospel and bluegrass when he was younger. He graduated to playing bars and smaller venues while working in Oklahoma at a foundry. After the foundry closed, he moved to Nashville to more seriously pursue a career in country music. He also worked for Gibson Guitars while writing country songs and recording demos to guide other artists who would cover them. Patrick Diffie, in 1990, debut album 1,000 Winding Roads became a sensation, and its single Home Shot to number 1 on all 3 major music country charts at the time. That was a record then for a debut single. It was a seemingly endless stream of hit singles and platinum albums followed in the early and mid-1990s, though his commercial fortunes cooled as the decade progressed. In recent years, he cemented his status as a country legend while reevaluating the songs that made him a star. Joe Diffie in 2013 recorded the collaborative album All in the Same Boat with Aaron Tippin and Sammy Kershaw, and in November of 2019, he released Joe Diffie, which featured re-recorded versions of a number of his number 1 and top hits. For most people, the coronavirus causes mild or moderate flu-like symptoms such as fever and cough that clear up in 2 to 3 weeks. However, there's some, unfortunately, like Diffie, that may start out with it and then succumb to it. Again, Joe Diffie, country music legend, dead at 61. Gonna miss him and just miss. Luckily, music always has a legacy. It's able to carry on, and luckily his songs will carry on. And we hope the best for those that are struggling with this. Friends, I wanted to share a quote with you this morning. I like to do a little bit of inspiration when we can here on Hip Radio Network. I think a lot of inspirational quotes and things that you hear at this time, there's never been a better time to hear them. This is about the hero's journey. The hero's journey is a much-used metaphor in therapy. The idea is that we should be able to look back on the challenges we faced in life and see ourselves as the hero rather than the victim of our own story. Friends, I want to ask you today, what is your hero's journey? The challenges that you're facing, that so many of us are facing this morning, wondering how are we going to get through this situation. Many business owners struggling right now. Many parents wondering how they're going to pay the bills, how they're going to take care of their children, wondering are their children even going to go back to school? What are the challenges that you are facing this morning? What are some of the things in your life that you could look back on and see yourselves as a hero rather than the victim of your own story? I want to ask you that this morning. Think about those things as you progress through this week. We've got a journey ahead of us, but together we are stronger and we can all overcome those things that are helping us. Those things that are impacting us. Talking about how we can overcome here on HRN, wanted to mention this. If you're a small business owner, I'm going to talk about it on every show, honestly, until this campaign is going to end, because I want to get the word out, and I want to encourage you to help me get the word out. If you're a small business owner here in Georgetown or smaller surrounding communities, such as Andice, Weir, Wahlberg, Granger, Thrall, Thorndale, a lot of smaller communities, Gerald, our friends up to the north, Hip Radio Network wants to know what your needs are. We're going to use our platform to help promote your needs during this COVID-19 pandemic. I just ask that you kindly fill out the form on our website. You can visit that at hrngeorgetown.com/support. Again, that's hrngeorgetown.com/support. I really want to know, what are your needs during this COVID-19 pandemic? Whether it be cash, just want you to be brutally honest with us. Whether it's you just need money, you need to sell your products, you have employees that you need to take care of. We want to know what those needs are. We want to figure out how we can help you. Submissions originally were going to be accepted through April the 1st. I'm going to extend that deadline, and we're going to run that submissions where we will accept those all the way, not just through April the 1st, which is on Wednesday. We're going to extend that we will accept submissions through Saturday, April the 11th. We do need to put a deadline on this because we've got to start acting, because folks can't wait. And so just wanted to ask you, what can we do to help you? We're going to extend that deadline to April the 11th. If you're a business owner, a small business owner, or know of a small business owner, we'll keep you updated with what we're going to be able to do to help. We care deeply about this community and our small businesses here in Georgetown. As most of you that listen to this show know, that I was born and raised here. I have a deep passion for Georgetown, for our residents. It's one reason we started Hip Radio Network in early January and continue to roll with it here, as we want to be able to give back not only to this community and the people of this community, but the small businesses here. It's an opportunity to let us know what your needs are. Again, just be honest with us. Information you submit on our form will be reviewed and published to our website. Friends, I can't guarantee that your needs are going to be met, but I can at least provide that platform and guarantee that we're going to put your needs out there. You know, this whole situation, I'm not one that likes to ask for help. I'm really not. That's something that I've struggled with my entire life, and it's, I guess some people call it maybe being a prideful in some ways. But I've learned, especially over the past few weeks, that if you need help, it's okay to ask for it. And so I just encourage you to do the same this morning. If there's something you need help with, let it be known. Don't feel ashamed about it. I know that it hurts. Trust me, I've been there. I've done it. I know that it hurts, but just ask. There's a lot of folks out there that want to help out. Just ask. Based on the responses that we receive, we're going to put together a GoFundMe or possibly an auction. We're still looking at that. More than likely, it's going to be an auction. We already have several businesses that have stepped up and said, yes, we will donate items to the auction. So that is what we're going to do. We're probably going to scratch the GoFundMe idea, but we are going to put together an auction to help out businesses. And it's an online auction. Pretty cool the way the platform works. So there's two folds to this. One of them, if you're a small business who needs help, let us know. I'll put the link on our Facebook live stream here in just a few moments. But we're going to put that there for you. It's hrngeorgetown.com/support for those of you that are listening this morning on the app. A lot of people listening this morning on the app. Again, go to the website, hrngeorgetown.com/support. There's really two ways that this works. You're a business, or you know of a business owner, small business owner, that needs help. That's where you fill out the form. The second part that we need help with is if you may have a business that you don't really need help right now. Things are going okay. But you said, you know what, I want to help out. Or maybe your business is struggling, but you still want to help out. You can donate items to our auction that we'll be having online. That auction is going to take place sometime after April the 11th. It will be an online auction that we will live stream right here on Facebook through an easy-to-use platform. And I say right here on Facebook, those of you that are listening on the app, we'll post it on Facebook. You can be able to watch that as well. It's going to be very simple, though, for you to interact, for you to be able to bid on items, also offline where it doesn't have to be on a live stream. So if you are a business or you know of a business owner that has products and services that they could donate to the auction, proceeds from those products and services from the auction will go to help out businesses who fill out our form. And that's why it's so important that we get information from business owners. And I keep telling people, go to that form and fill it out, because if you're not on the form, we're not going to be able to support you or help you. I've already had responses come in from businesses that were honest, and that's what we asked for, saying, look, I need cash. Our rent is, it doesn't seem like a lot. It's $650 a month, but we don't have it. We have employees that we pay $300 a week. We've had to put them to the side. They want to continue to keep their employees hired, and they want to continue to help out. And there's a lot of people right now that are needing help. And I appreciate Joshua Harris, who's joining us right now. He's one of our sponsors here on this show. But Josh is being brutally honest right now. And I appreciate that, Josh. And that's what we need more of right now. Joshua is saying, please support Oak Ridge Ministries. And Josh is a sponsor of this show. He's been a sponsor of a lot of what we've done. He's also a co-host here on Tuesday mornings. Hope that we can have him remotely tomorrow for a little bit. But Josh saying, please support Oak Ridge Ministries if you're able. We are still helping put broken families back together from drug and alcohol addiction through Christ. And I think those are the organizations and people that are being brutally honest about what their needs are right now. You've got to do that. I know, put your pride aside and just say, look, we need help. There's nothing wrong with asking for that. You know me, guys. You know how I end the broadcast saying we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. That word has never been more true. That statement has never been more true than right now, that we have got to come together and help each other. So one final time, it's hrngeorgetown.com/support. hrngeorgetown.com/support. If you need help and you're a small business, fill out the form. If you are a business who's able to help with the auction by providing an item or a product or service, let us know as well. You can always email me, rob@hrngeorgetown.com. That's rob@hrngeorgetown.com, and I can get you more information on that. Here is another thing, too, that the way it's going to work for small businesses, if you're one that needs resources, one of them is you can donate items and donate 100% of the proceeds from that auction from your item to a pool of everybody who fills out that form at hrngeorgetown.com/support. That's one way. You can donate 100% of the proceeds to share with everybody. A second way is you can donate half of the proceeds from the item. If you're a business that's in need of help and you said, you know what, I don't want to just take, I want to give a little bit as well, then it's perfectly okay for you to still receive 50% of those proceeds. The other 50% will go into a pool that will benefit everyone. And there's nothing wrong with this, but you say, look, I need the complete help. You can accept 100% of the proceeds from that item as well. There is absolutely nothing wrong from that. So however you want to proceed on that, just fill out the form. I'm going to say it one last time. It's hrngeorgetown.com/support. Fill out that form, and we will be able to get you more information on exactly what we can do to help. Stock markets, the futures were showing that things were going to open up a little bit weak this morning. Well, that's been the flip story, actually. The Dow right now up 91 points. As we were threatening and flirting with 18,000 just a few days ago, it would have been the single largest drop or the single biggest drop over time that we've had since the Great Depression. And luckily, a little bit of ideas about this economic stimulus that's supposed to help, the true $1 trillion historic stimulus, still motivating and boosting investors as the stock market approaching 22,000. I don't know if we'll get there today, but again, it's opening up at 92 points. That is a good sign for all of you that have investments and you're worried about where things are going. Well, I hope that everybody is doing well this morning. Good morning, Georgetown. We got about 7 more minutes here. Again, tomorrow, I hope that we'll have, I don't know if you can make it, Josh. We talked a little bit about it doing remote, and so hopefully we'll have Josh on the show tomorrow morning. You know, for me being a studio host and kind of going solo without guests, man, it gets tough because we're trying to fill content. And I don't want to inundate you guys every single morning with coronavirus news because that's really what's been inundating the market, not just, you know, affecting the stock markets, but then also inundating the news on a local level, a national level. So we just want to bring you a little bit of hope, a little bit of encouragement every morning, and just really try to find a way to help lift you up. You know, one way that we can bring you a little hope and encouragement is, have you seen the bluebonnets this morning? Have you seen them yesterday? Have you seen them this week? You know, I live out in Santa Loma, which is right outside of Serenata neighborhood off Airport Road, and Bridget and I have been driving around. And I've been riding my bike a little bit. I've been staying away from people. But I've been, getting out where I can, staying away from people, riding my bike. My health journey that started unexpectedly on January the 3rd continues. I finally ate a burger. I hadn't had a hamburger in, my goodness, January, February, almost over 3 months now. Finally had a burger. That tasted good, but I'm not going down that path again. But that whole health journey started on January the 3rd with the pancreatitis, and I got to tell you, man, I'm feeling maybe the best I felt in probably 15 to 20 years. And it's those things that just, you got to remember, friends, you got to find motivation every day. There's got to be something that you can do to get up and find motivation and latch on to, especially right now during these times. So get out if you need to. Take a walk. Just stay away from people, but take a walk. Enjoy the scenery of the flowers. The bluebonnets have been beautiful. And looking excited, looking forward to the excitement of getting over all this pandemic so we can continue to get back to life as normal. Talking about the Williamson County Sun, we like to read articles out of the newspaper. By the way, if you don't subscribe to the Williamson County Sun, I highly recommend it. I've been a subscriber, my goodness, for close to 20 years now. I'm 35, so really no, since I was 17. So let's take it back. What is that, 18 years? I'm bad at math off the top of my head. So 18 years I've been a subscriber of that paper, literally since I was 17 years old. My parents didn't get it, so we got to get the paper. So we started getting the newspaper. And I've never turned back. I love the Williamson County Sun. They have a beautiful picture this morning, or on this weekend's edition, not this morning, but on the edition just from yesterday, of bluebonnets. And the picture here talking about this photo by Andy Sharp. By the way, Andy's just an amazing, amazing American. He loves this country. He loves this area. His beautiful photo of the bluebonnets right on the front page of the Williamson County Sun. So great to see that. Bluebonnets are abundant all across Williamson County and Central Texas and provide a welcome solace during our current health crisis sweeping the globe. I just talked about that. These flowers brighten Our Lady of the Rosary Cemetery and Prayer Gardens along Berry Lane. Hey, friends, if you've got a picture of bluebonnets or any flowers or just a beautiful picture, could you head over to our Facebook page at Hip Radio Network? Could you head over to that page for me? Could you post a picture this morning so we can kind of lift each other up, give each other a little something beautiful to look at? I talked about earlier when this show came on, the backdrop that's behind me, beautiful mountains. I don't even know where this is, and I hate to say that, but David Cody, a friend of mine, had sent me that picture. Well, he had actually put it on Facebook, and I said, that would be beautiful to put on our backdrop as our morning show this morning. He said, go for it. He took that picture, and it is, I just want to jump in the lake that's behind me on the picture this morning, and I can't do that. Just beautiful. So if you can, go to Hip Radio Network on our Facebook page. Share a picture this morning of something that you think would lift each other up. I think there's a lot of things this morning. Something of flowers, something of scenery, something of joy and happiness. Why don't we do that today, is just share wonderful pictures with each other, something to kind of get our minds thinking in a different direction and not be so concerned and worried. We need to be concerned, but not just be overly worried about this coronavirus. Well, some good news. Brad Stutzman, the article here in the paper on Sunday, Georgetown Police Department located a suspect in the November 2019 home invasion robbery at Sun City, during which a couple was tied up. You may have heard about that in the news. Police spokesman Captain Roland Waite said Wednesday the suspect is being held at Travis County Jail, where he's charged with committing a similar offense in that county. Captain Waite said he can't release the man's name because he hasn't been arrested in the Georgetown case. But that investigation continues. Of course, the Sun City robbery occurring on November the 20th. A woman told officers she was putting away groceries at 11:30 a.m. in her home on Whispering Nguyen when a man about 6 feet tall entered the home through the garage, displayed a gun, and demanded jewelry. For more information on that article and more, of course, be sure to read the Williamson County Sun newspaper, as there's a lot of information. Georgetown schools, as of now, will remain closed through April the 13th. I'm not sure if that's going to change now, of course, with President Trump extending people to stay home and stay away from groups more than 10 until June the 1st. So, again, that may be extended. Of course, if we have more information from GISD, we'll post that as soon as we get it on hrngeorgetown.com. Well, friends, time now is 8:59. Appreciate you being a part of this show this morning. Once again, if you could, head over to the Hip Radio Network Facebook page. For those of you that are on the Facebook live stream, I'm going to go ahead and post that on our Facebook page. Just click on that link. It's Hip Radio Network. Make sure to hit the like button, and you can stay up to date with the latest of what we're doing. Head over there and post a picture this morning. You know what? In fact, while I'm on it right now, I'm going to go over to the Facebook page. Now, I know those of you that are listening on the app this morning, you can't see this, but what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to put a post on here. I'm going to say comment below with your favorite flower. Well, you know what? Let's just say with your favorite picture to lift each other up this morning. I'll say whether it's flowers, your dog, whatever. Let's post some happiness this morning. I should say keep it clean, too, because there's some people that will have some funny jokes and memes. We want to keep it clean here. We're family-friendly on Hip Radio Network, Georgetown. Friends, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Make sure to join us here on Hip Radio Network again tomorrow morning, as we will have more on Good Morning Georgetown. By the way, throughout the day, we don't just have this show on Facebook Live. We also have things going on Hip Radio Network. We play music 24/7, 365. We have the morning show here every morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. John Montgomery joining us from Roberts Printing. He's also helping us with this benefit to try to help out businesses in the community. Appreciate you, John, and all that you do over at Roberts Printing. I want to remind you today, too, look, man, I'm not knocking. I know I talked earlier about, people getting out in restaurants. I'm not knocking any restaurants. I understand that you guys have got to stay in business. We've got some sponsors here on this show that are desperately trying to keep things afloat. That's why I want people to head over to hrngeorgetown.com/support. But I really got to tell you, if you can stay at home right now. What really is an essential way to get out? What is really, truly essential? And I think that we've really got to start thinking about that and take this serious. And if not, I'm not trying to spread panic and fear, friends, but if not, we're going to be in this for a long time. So I just encourage you today, and being very serious, stay at home. Avoid getting out if at all possible. I know that there's a lot of folks struggling. Hey, I'm right there with you. There's things that I need to be doing out in the community right now, being around and that could help generate income. But I'm telling you, it's more important. The safety of other people is 1,000,000 times more important than me trying to get out there and generate $1 to pay a bill. We're going to get through this, friends. We just have to come together. One way that we can do it is by supporting each other. Again, through our efforts here at Hip Radio Network, trying to raise funds for businesses. And that's why, one more time, I'm going to plug it. Head over to hrngeorgetown.com/support. Fill out that form if you're a business owner. If you're not and you would like to donate an item to the online auction, we can do that as well. We'll be back on the air tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. Make sure to join us right here on Hip Radio Network. This show today sponsored in part, as always, by the Oak Ridge Disciple House, Joshua Harris. The Oak Ridge Disciple House is a faith-based Christian character building ministry, a 501c3 nonprofit helping men 18 and older who are suffering from drug and alcohol addiction. If you or someone you know needs help, you can visit them online at oakridgedisciplehouse.com. There's light at the end of the tunnel. That light can be found at the Oak Ridge Disciple House. Again, it's online at oakridgedisciplehouse.com. Again, thank you to Dr. Chau Nguyen of Ochna Health, online at ochnahealth.com. Appreciate him being on our show, as well as Doug Groves of Program Insurance Group. Friends, reminding you this morning that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody out there this morning needs you. Good morning, Georgetown, and God bless. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
As last week ended, President Trump was saying he was hoping the country would be reopened for business despite the coronavirus pandemic by Easter Sunday, April 12th. However, yesterday he announced he's extending social distancing guidelines as a result of the virus for several more weeks.
We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th to slow the spread.
New York City's mayor calling it a last resort. Bill de Blasio saying he has authorized police to issue $500 tickets to people who violate social distancing rules amid the coronavirus pandemic. Pope Francis calling for a temporary worldwide ceasefire. He called for the global halt to hostilities yesterday, saying countries need to protect their people from the coronavirus pandemic. And this is USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I think I've turned a corner in not having so much fatigue. That was my initial problem, was I was just tired all the time. So I think it's helping me with that. I think it's a whole lot better as a supplement than a lot of other products. Basically, you heal from the cellular level up. That's why nutrition is so important. Having whole foods is very important for health. I really think that it's been helping me overall.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code USA.
Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson declaring a disaster in the city of Jonesboro after a Saturday tornado touched down there. The National Weather Service says that it was an EF3 tornado. It did serious damage to downtown Jonesboro, but only a few minor injuries were reported. An EF1 touchdown in nearby Greene County. Checks from the recently passed coronavirus economic stimulus bill should be arriving in American bank accounts and mailboxes within the next 3 to 4 weeks. According to Treasury Chief Stephen Mnuchin, a family of 4 could get up to $3,400, while an individual taxpayer would receive around $1,200. On this day in history, President Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded after a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton Hotel. John Hinckley Jr. later disclosed that he was motivated by wanting to impress actress Jodie Foster. This is USA Radio News.
Broadcasting worldwide from the Ashby Real Estate Broadcast Studio. This is HIP Radio Network, Georgetown, your hometown station.
Thanks for staying with us this morning, Georgetown. We'll send it back to some music now. If you're on the Facebook live stream, it will end. If you're on the HIP Radio Network app, you'll be able to enjoy music, weather, news, and more throughout the day. We'll start it right here. It's a little Florida-Georgia line. Blessings to start your morning here on HIP Radio Network, Georgetown. We're your hometown station.